What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Austin, and thanks for tuning in to this weekly roundup. With me, as always, is Mr. Davin Broadbent. Davin, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Good, thanks, Austin. Great to be back. Great to be talking to you again.
Yeah, really good. And it's a, we shoot these on Monday for a Wednesday release. And so looking at the charts here on my left, it's a bloody day out there in the markets. And hopefully we find bottom sooner rather than later. But I will tell you, the sentiment around the DevvE team is not bloody at all. In fact, it's more optimistic than I've seen it, in the almost year that I've been working here, which is incredible given the market conditions. And so I wanted to pick your brain a little bit, probably I'm going to take more of a community centric approach in some of these questions if I can, because, just being, originally a community member myself, but understanding the information flow and like what they want to hear versus what they can necessarily hear at a given time. I think there's some stuff to dive into. So recently we have put out a couple of announcements. And for any of our more dedicated community members, these aren't necessarily announcements that were new things for them, but I think, they're kind of setting a foundational stage for the future. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. So we had the Dev Digital announcement, and I know how they feel. Every time the announcement in Telegram pings, their heart jumps a little bit. I know, because it happens to me, even though I know that they're coming. But then we also had the fraud, theft, and loss announcement. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we do have kind of a slew of various very exciting announcements that are coming up. And so I wondered if you might be able to kind of touch a little bit on the thinking behind that and kind of what the community can expect in regards to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, look, we completely understand that these are not kind of market moving announcements. They're not needle moving announcements, which is exactly what everybody wants, right? So, I'm not going to apologize for that. These are kind of foundational pieces that, as you've kind of hinted, form part of our kind of go-to-market strategy, and a big part of what we're trying to do here is create not just awareness, but education around the products that we're bringing, specifically Dev Exchange, but all of the things that sit around that and why that product is so interesting and unique. And it's really really important to understand that the people that have been with us for a long time, all of our dedicated supporters and the community and everybody that's kind of followed the journey so far, we understand that you guys have you've had a long time to be acquainted with everything that we're doing, and in some cases your knowledge is pretty much on par with with the team. We're targeting all of the people that are about to find the project. We're targeting all of the people who we anticipate through a number of mechanisms are about to discover DevvE, discover Dev Digital, discover Dev Exchange for the very first time. And those people will be coming from a number of different verticals. Those people will be coming from the crypto space. And we can dive in on a little bit about how we're kind of going through that user acquisition, customer acquisition journey. These people are going to be coming from the institutional space. They're going to be coming from partners that will be signing up on the institutional side and the funnels and pieces that we put in place there. They'll be coming out of events and part of our strategy, and we can talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing in the event space. But all of these people will be discovering us, either for the first time, or they'll have a warm introduction from someone from the community, or they'll have an introduction from one of the KOLs or from one of our industry partners. And the first thing they're going to want to do is dive into, why is this such a unique or such an important opportunity in the space? Having this foundational material in place and having them kind of walk through all of the pieces that we've kind of established and that we've talked about in the community around things like fraud, theft, and loss, around privacy, which obviously is coming up, and around a bunch of other things that are going to be integral in terms of positioning us as the safest, most secure, most viable value exchange in the world effectively, is part of why we're positioning the news and the information flow the way that we're doing at the moment.
Wonderful. And, just to kind of touch on this, it is all happening, guys, right? Like, so again, I have to, call myself out for the little faux pas slip that I had on one of the live streams mentioning January, but I want to mention a few things, to the community and Davin, I'll let you, maybe talk about the communication that will be forthcoming about this, but everything that we've talked about that was happening has either occurred already or is in the process of happening right now, right? And anything that didn't come out as ring the bell news, the second that it dropped, has really important reasons behind it. And I know we've touched on that, but Davin, I know you know what I'm driving at. Can we get into a little bit more around, the partnerships that people were expecting and like what they could see maybe forthcoming without letting too much out of the bag?
Yeah, look, I mean, again, we're not the kind of crypto company, and I know we've said this, and this is a conversation again, probably more to the people that we were talking about before who have been with us for a long time and, have an expectation around, a certain cadence of kind of output. We're not a hype company. We have, as you've kind of hinted, we've signed partnerships. We have things in place that we're not necessarily dancing around about. We're not making a big song and dance about, because they don't have a material impact on there are more pieces than just signing a document or signing an agreement or signing a partnership, right? So that's important. That basically signals that organizations are working together, and those companies are now moving forward. We have a number of those things in place that are probably considered to be big news, but it's the output that those things kind of generate. It's the foundational pieces of kind of collaboration and products that generates that is really, really important. Now, we understand that everybody wants to hear a big announcement just so that they can see things move up and to the right, and that's not the game that and I say game, but we're not playing a game. We're building a massive business. That's not what we're interested in. There are a number of kind of critical prerequisites that have to fall into place. Some of them regulatory, some of them, technology, some of them, literally kind of resource based, that have to fall into, these cadences of output. And once those things are all kind of, baked in and in place and are delivering value for, the users, the wider community, and the business in general, then of course they're going to be released and they're going to be announced, because at that point, it's going to have the most critical impact. So it's not just hey, look, everybody, we've just signed a deal. It's, wow, we signed a deal months ago. We signed, we've done these things and we've been working on delivering these things. And now here's the thing that we've been, so rather than kind of hurry up and wait, we've done this thing ages ago, and now everybody wants to know when, where, why, how. All of those things are being managed. All of this process is part of what a business or an organization goes through in terms of, generating that value or the new product, in our case, Dev Exchange, and all of the various things that have to come around that. So, I understand the frustration. I understand why people want to know, where things are and what things are happening. All I can say is that we are doing absolutely everything that we can to deliver on our promises, and I can tell what's going on behind the scenes, right? It is battle stations, all hands to, and we are moving rapidly in that direction. There's lots of great stuff happening.
Yeah, and I want to add on to that just a little bit. So in crypto, we've become accustomed to the Justin Sun way of doing things, right? And anyone that's been around a while knows the Justin Sun, it's the announcement of the announcement. Here it comes, and boom, there it is. And then, and in fact, recently there was a project, and I won't mention the name. I don't think it's a legitimate one, but they went out, making these announcements that they were doing certain things, right? You know what I'm talking about. And the community was like, oh, who is this? Who is this? And they went up like 500%, and then they went down like 90, within the next day. And it got me thinking that, the things that we're actually doing, the things that we have actually managed to pull off behind the scenes, are so great that companies are coming forward and using that as their fake talking point to pump their market cap, right? I'm going, damn, it's so good that people are using it as a way of, I don't want to go any further into that. But here's what I will say. I was having a chat with somebody the other day explaining our fraud, theft, and loss solution, which is so elegant, it's so unique, and it's so needed in the market. And he was like, well, where can I demonstrate this? And much to my chagrin, I had to go, well, there's really not anywhere you can use it just yet. But it really got me thinking about the cornucopia of things that we kind of offer. I don't know if that was the right word to use, but
Yeah, no, good use of the word.
The best way that we can demonstrate our speed, our fraud, theft, and loss solution, the regulatory adherence, the contingent transaction sets, literally things that the market hasn't seen yet. The best way that we can do that all in one is to bring the product forth that is the exact product that we're bringing forth, which is Dev Exchange. And it's going to be, dare I say, I think better than any of us, even maybe you, but better than I probably even realize at this point in time. And, it's not just, there's a lot of projects. Remember that old drawing of, the back half of the horse was the ICO and it was perfect in the front half. And he's like that, and that's the actual product that they put out. That's not going to be the case with us. I can assure you guys, this is something to where anyone that's forward looking might look at the market right now and go, oh man, that's a really rough market. But anyone that's really forward looking is going, wow, this is extra time for us to get that product to market before the banana zone hits. And that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it. And I'm pretty excited for it. And so I hope you don't mind if I pivot us just a little bit. There's been some announcements that we put out, or some tweets that we put out, that garnered some interest from the community. And it is our KOL program that we've been doing. And I know that was of interest to folks, and they're wondering, I get a lot of questions. How is that going? What's the purpose behind it? Are you hiring a bunch of KOLs and spending the treasury? What exactly is what are we driving at there? And I was wondering is there anything you could expand upon that, Davin?
Yeah. And again, I have to be a bit careful on this because, Phil and probably a few other guys would strangle me if I let the cat out of the bag too early. But, what I can say is that we're working up to a cadence of being able to deliver on our user acquisition piece and on delivering some fairly unique opportunities for the market. And that cadence is going to center around our kind of presence at Paris Blockchain Week, and then beyond that, obviously. And I think it's no secret that Ray's going to be on stage at Paris Blockchain Week. We're going to have a bunch of the team there. We're going to be talking to some of our partners. There's going to be some interesting news and things that will obviously fall out of the back of that. And that's a little bit of foreshadowing for everybody. But alongside that, what we're hoping to do is release some news. And again, I have to be really, really careful here around some referral opportunities for KOLs and for the community in general. And what I can say is that having been around a long time, and having seen a lot of these types of, opportunities in the space around, exchanges typically offering, kind of marketing and trading referrals and those types of things. It's a fairly done and dusted, fairly tried and true kind of methodology. It's exciting. It's not that exciting. And some platforms have kind of, managed to, I guess, make some fairly kind of big opportunities bigger in terms of how they structure those programs. What I can say is that our opportunity is potentially going to be orders of magnitude bigger than anything that has been seen. I can't go into too much detail because all of those pieces are being locked down at the moment and being refined. So there is a fair element of testing. The technical guys will not be thanking me for having this conversation with you right now because I know that they're going through some fairly rigorous testing and as with anything, they ask the marketing team for, input around, what is it that you want? And, the marketing team, as soon as they can see what the technical team have delivered, go, oh my God, that's amazing. Let's now do this. And then the technical team turn around and go, no, you don't understand how difficult it is. Let's not do that. And then everybody on the marketing side's like, but then we could do this. And so that's happening a little bit at the moment. So again, apologies to all of the developers and all of the guys on the tech side who are frantically working to make sure that this is a reality. And from what I've seen, it's amazing. So that's kind of a hint as to what's happening on the KOL side. There's going to be some more news on that imminently, and it's going to be incredibly exciting. There's going to be more following Paris Blockchain Week as well, leading up to Token 2049. All I can say is, if you are, even if you're not a KOL, if you're interested in working as an affiliate, or you're interested in working around kind of referring, users and people to DevvE, that's something you should definitely be looking for. And Dev Exchange in particular is going to be huge.
Yeah. And I want to, kind of expand a little bit upon that. And if I get too out of line, just tell me and we'll cut this out of the video. But if I don't, then that line's going to be in there and everyone's going to think I'm a weirdo for saying it. But, one thing that has become kind of obvious is we are putting together this little marketing army in the background, right? And we have an internal goal that is extremely ambitious, and we're going to hit it. And, coming forth with these exchange referral type programs, right? We've seen ones in the market that were just right. Bybit, Binance, there's a ton of them, BingX, all over the place, right? And they're very, very lucrative for folks that can bring people in based on trading volume or what have you. But one thing I want to point out to the community that I think is often overlooked is right now we have a little over, and I haven't checked today, but we have a little over 10,000 holders of the DevvE token. Now, our goal for user acquisition is orders of magnitude larger than 10,000 users, right? And to get that, we're going to probably need to encounter orders of magnitude up more people than what our actual user acquisition goal is. And so in the months leading up to the launch of Dev Exchange, DevvE is the token of Dev Exchange, with the exception of Fios, which is the secondary. And there's going to be a lot of very, very cool utility under the hood. And we bring something that's not just attractive to referrers and KOLs, financially, but it's attractive from the sense of there's a massive safety foundation that's underneath it that none of these other exchanges can offer. And so the marketing machine's about to be turned loose. And the tertiary benefits that the DevvE token and the DevvE community are going to see as a result of that, in my opinion, are massive and very, very, very exciting. And we're kind of on the cusp of like really, really cool things that are about to happen. So thanks for touching on that, Davin. Did I get out of line with what I just said?
No, I think you were spot on. In fact, I think you kind of underplayed the utility piece a massive amount, which
I don't know
which I was really surprised at. Right? Yeah, that's you walked the line really nicely. And just for anyone watching, one of the things that I'm most excited about, I mean, we are hands down the most utilized. So from a token utility point of view, the integral nature of DevvE is critical to what's happening on Dev Exchange. You mentioned Fios as well, and that will absolutely play a role. But in terms of benefits from those 10,000 holders currently and kind of more and beyond, it is going to be unlike anything that I've ever seen in the space. It is so baked in, and it provides so much value as a mechanism. We've said this from the very, very start. We see it as the money of money. We see it as the value, exchange kind of mechanism. All of those things remain true. I guess without going too far, just kind of wait and see what happens. But it's, as you said, we've got some ambitious and some fairly lofty goals, and I'm supremely confident that with everything that we're delivering on both sides, it's all going to turn into a absolutely perfect storm.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking as you were mentioning that exchanges are one of the few handful of entities that really do well in all market conditions. In fact, on big dump days, they crush it, because it's volume based. And being early to the party in the DevvE community, I think everyone's going to be very excited when they see kind of how this all ties in. And with DevvE being the connector of trades, right? Like, I want you to think if you were, and again, we could cut this if I go too far, right? But I want you to think if you were providing liquidity on Uniswap and every trade routed through ETH, and you were providing liquidity in Ethereum, right? And to kind of like think about that for a second, like what would that actually mean from an LP standpoint? There's a lot of just really cool things that are only able to do with the particular tech that we're bringing forward. And it's just beautiful. All right, cool. You got me off. I went off on a tangent there, man. I'm sorry. I do want to. So we have I have a Twitter Spaces I'm doing with Tom tomorrow, right? So by the time this comes out, it's gonna be out. But I know he and I, the nice thing about chatting with Tom is, he's the boss. So if I push him and he says something he shouldn't say, well, he can only reprimand himself, So I'm wondering, what can the community expect over the next, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks, including Paris Blockchain Week? And what can they, what's going to be kind of the feel that they're going to have over the next month?
So there's going to be a lot more news. And, again, some of it will be foundational. Some of it will be kind of partner related. There's going to be a little bit of kind of build up to, what we're going to be doing at Paris Blockchain Week. We're definitely going to be kind of signaling, our intentions from Paris and beyond. I think essentially what we're going to see from our side is, as you said, the marketing ramping up. And some very clear kind of pathways for users and people to get involved with, what we're doing on the Dev Exchange side, which is going to be incredibly exciting. On the sovereign states and institutional partner side, there's going to be some news there as well. We've talked, and you and I have talked, separately about, impact assets and all of those different things. All of these things are part of the kind of, the Dev Exchange ecosystem. They're part of what we're working on the Forever side. They're all, integral pieces of the same puzzle. And, we are actively moving forward, on all of these fronts, which is a very big deal. But it's really, really hard to communicate because there are so many different things. And, obviously, there's a lot going on in the world right now as well. As anyone that's read a newspaper will be aware, these things have an impact politically. These things have an impact at a national and state level. From a jurisdictional point of view, they have an impact. Again, we are plugged in at so many different levels that navigating some of these difficulties and kind of issues presents challenges that kind of, we have to bake into what we're trying to achieve as well. So again, back to the point that I made earlier, it's not that we're hiding any of these things from people. It's not that we're not making these announcements and doing those types of, hey, look at us kind of pieces of marketing. That's just not who we are, right? We want these pieces to be baked into what we're delivering, and they are critical and important. All I can say is that when we will release, or when we do release pieces of news, it's because that news has an important kind of benefit to what it is that we're actually building and delivering. It's not, hey, look, this has happened, and now you're going to have to wait until a whole bunch of other stuff happens before that has any kind of meaning or input. It's really kind of a managed process. So we want to talk and we want to share and we want to give as much, useful information to the community as possible. But again, there has to be an element of let us do our jobs, let us do this, let us build this properly. And that's exactly what we're doing. So all I can say is over the next 3 to 4 weeks leading up to PBW, there's going to be, a continued cadence of output from us. You'll hear more, on pretty much all of the things that we've discussed, that I'm sure that you were going to really kind of push Tom. And, I know that Tom, he's spinning a million different plates at the moment. And, and I know that he's also he's in the process of being selected potentially for jury duty, which, Tom, if you're watching this, I know, right? Tom, if you're watching this, good luck, and I hope you get out of that. Which is, I'm not sure if that's the right sentiment, but he is incredibly busy, and some of the stuff that he's moving forward on is just monumental, and it's hugely important. So I'm going to be watching that call with you and Tom, even though I speak to Tom very regularly, just to see how far he will go and what he's prepared to say. It's always a really good gauge for me to see how bullish he is on certain things that we're working through, just to know how we're landing as well. But all I can say is that as a kind of follower and as a kind of participant and as a community member on this project, we are very, very thankful for your support. We're very mindful of that interest, and we're wanting to manage all of these things moving forward over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks and beyond. It's not short sprints for us. It's this kind of exponential process, and we are keeping our promises. So yeah, appreciate your patience.
Wonderful. And just to kind of tack on to that, there's some very exciting things that are going to be shared with the community pretty soon that are, you guys know a lot of the unique selling propositions, the USPs that we have on Dev Exchange. There's more. There's going to be more coming that you just are unaware of. And it's something that's never, I'm not even joking. It's never been done before. Like nowhere else has done this before. And so it's a cornucopia. I'll go back to the corner. It's a cornucopia. That's what it is. So, all right, Davin, thank you so much, my friend. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Not at all. And again, I probably said too much, but thank you. I look forward to next week. And again, appreciate everybody's time.
All right, my friend. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My name's Austin. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care.